Tana, so we'll be interested to see how he can do as we're going to hop right onto the pick and ban.
All right.
Gen.G on blue.
Well, let's hope that you don't lose me by the end of this draft phase, Valdez. All right, I've been...
Yeah, I know. The real thing that gets you sick is Korean drafts, actually.
All right, so far, Akali and Lee Sin going to be the bans for T1. Gragas and Misfortune on the left-hand side for Gen.G. We're going to see what the last ban is going to be here. Just no Tom Kenches. No Tom Kench first picks on B1 and or response on R1, R2.
Okay.
As Lucian bites the dust.
You're not a fan of Senna Tom Kench?
I'm not a fan of Tom in general.
Okay.
LeBlanc will actually be banned away, which does mean that Syndra has made it through. Rek'Sai ends up getting picked first, and it's a very peculiar pick to go first. There's so many junglers that are still wide open right now, and Rek'Sai is a very committed jungler. T1 now hovering Elise.
When you say committed, you mean committed to a certain kind of play style.
Yeah.
So you're kind of showing your cards a bit here, even with just one pick, which is not necessarily what you want to do.
Like Gragas or like Jarvan, those junglers in particular, they have different modes. They can obviously be supportive to their team, they can engage, they can go glass cannon, they can go off-tanky, they can fulfill a lot of roles, and Rek'Sai tends to fall off a cliff after 2 items, but Rek'Sai also can fulfill the mid-rangey aspect of a jungler, but obviously there's other champions that can do that as well. Now, T1 in kind, they respond with Elise and then Xayah. So, Xayah obviously extremely versatile, but Elise not so much. We're going to have to see what they're going to end up pairing her with, but Gen.G, they're showing a lot of information very early on. Now, Rumble is on par with Rek'Sai's theme, and now Nautilus is picked up as well. T1 gonna walk into the Nautilus by selecting the Rakan, so definitely a little bit surprising right there.
Yeah, Xayah Rakan coming together in the bottom lane, so perhaps that was their plan, but as you mentioned, not the best into the Nautilus in general, but still could see some flexing from the side of Gen.G. You would expect that to go support, but you could see it in the mid lane with Rumble heading top. Definitely some change-ups can be thrown in here, as Caitlyn is also going to hit the ban list.
Caitlyn getting banned does make sense right now. Let's see what Gen.G are thinking about responding with. They're doing a very cliche ban there with the Renekton, as they target him away and watch them do something like Aatrox, because...
I missed Aatrox. Because it's Korea.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Aatrox. But instead, they'll ban out another champion you're not super fond of. In the Kennen, will be taken off the board here. Thankfully, no Olafs have been seen just yet, though, as both junglers have been picked.
Kennen ban, a little interesting. We'll have to see what that could be signifying that they would want to pick. And the reason that I say that's interesting is because it would allow you to itemize very easy against Gen.G's comp if they would do something like that. And it would also gate Gen.G into being almost entirely peaking at 1.5, 2 items. And there's the Aatrox, unironically, being hovered.
Yeah, unironic Aatrox in 2019. Last day of 2019, by the way. So he got one last unironic Aatrox in there right before we ended the year.
Well, Trox is locked in there. And now Gen.G insta-locking Senna, didn't even hover her, and now they're going to lock in Tom.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a mid-Nautilus with a top Rumble in top lane, and this gives T1 the counter pick. So there's so many champions that can thematically destroy Gen.G's team composition right now. They're extremely short range. They have a heavy reliance on engage. All of their champions are the same champion at 1.5 and 2 items, and then from there forward, nothing really works. KeSPA is a beautiful champion.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It's settled the wreckage in champion form.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that is. So, Vigar,
Yeah.
really, really strong here. Ryze, really, really strong here against Gen.G. KeSPA, there's just so many mid lane champion picks that can deconstruct what Gen.G had drafted up until this point. And so it definitely is a little surprising to see that the Nautilus was flexed into mid lane. And honestly, T1, yeah, they have an Elise, but the KeSPA, the Xayah, and even the Aatrox here, because of the theme of Gen.G's comp, they're all going to scale so well. Gen.G has to do something this game by 20 minutes. They need a very large lead. They're going to need good Dragon RNG as well, because a couple of Dragons just ruin their life.
And we've seen this before, where some teams try to get in there, they don't draft a lot of scaling, and then they kind of fall off because they don't get ahead enough. And it seemed like Gen.G had a very specific plan coming into today. And T1, just looking at the draft, it feels like with that counter pick of the KeSPA, they're in a pretty good spot. So feeling good about that draft as we're going to head into game number 1 for Gen.G versus T1 right now. So, first criticism so far is that the Gen.G fan chant needs some improvement, we'll say. I don't know who the fan chant leader was, but you can't do it that fast and catch people off guard. Otherwise, you're not going to have a good fan chant to back it up. Whereas the T1, they waited specifically, and then they were like, T1, hana. It was very clear.
It was, yeah.
And they got in a big, nice cheer. So right off the bat, T1's winning with the fan chant. And it's not going to sit well in the minds of the Gen.G fans. But either way, we are heading on to the Rift here, as we'll be interested to see. My eyes are on Kana here, as are the observers, to see exactly what he can do on the Aatrox. Can he actually go up against Rascal in the top lane? One of our rookies here for 2020.
Well, he's going to be on the Aatrox. What a champion to debut with. Has the Conqueror rune selected. He's up against a Rumble with Comet that's starting Doran's Ring. And the way that these lane dynamics all are, we're going to have to just really pay attention to what the Rek'Sai can accomplish, because remember, the onus is going to be on Gen.G to actually make something happen. T1, sorry. My apologies. You know what, I've been, I was a StarCraft 1 player. And StarCraft 2, so
yes,
I've been very used to saying it one way for, well, 13 years?
Yeah.
Right? 14 years, so...
That's what happens with rebrands, you know, where it's like, well, everybody still knows you as one as... Ooh. Well, this is a nice little trade here from Faker. He hit level 2 first, and BDD just ate the poison, so you got to be careful about that when you're a melee against KeSPA. Like
I was saying, T1... a lot less responsibility this game than their opponents, even though they have the Elise. She doesn't necessarily have to make anything happen in the super early stages. Faker, now, with how much damage BDD has taken this early on, it's definitely not his responsibility to stay in the lane. You can obviously see that BDD is probably not going to be interested in trying to set anything up. Elise now on her Gromp. Teddy and Effort aren't going to be able to achieve anything on Wave 4. This is Wave 3. They could just recall after crashing Wave 4. We'll see if they end up doing that. They already have the priority established, had Elise just passed down to the right-hand side and waited for Scuttle Crab, but looks like Cuz is actually going to go to the Wolf Camp first. And Faker, he's at about 20% mana in mid lane right now. Has both of his potions still, so definitely an interesting situation right now. as we're getting a bit of a mini lull state. Even right now, Rascal up here in top lane, he's crashed the wave. He's getting a little bit of poke damage, but we're going to see if they're going to try to convert this into a dive.
Saw that question mark ping that went right onto the ward. So they know there's a ward there. Kana's extremely low.
He's dead.
Klid is coming in, but actually the tower aggro is going to go on to Klid before the wave is pushed in. A little bit of an oopsie there. Kana taking a lot of damage. He's going to flash away. He misses the knockup, and he's going to go down. Big mistake coming in from Klid as Kana is going to live under the turret 2v1.
And that's a absolutely disastrous situation right now for Gen.G. Cuz is punished. He's coming in here. It looks like he's getting intel on all the camps that are up and available. He plants the ward down, not actually going to start the blue buff. He knows that Rek'Sai has to path there as soon as she's up. Faker now in mid lane with the freeze. This is perfect timing to kill BDD. He's probably going to walk up to cast E. But if he acknowledges this is the only timing he can die, he won't do it.
He did go for it anyway as BDD
Love it.
Still does have his flash, but there's the miasma, and he is going to get cocooned, and he will go down as he was not able to get out of that one. I think he should have pre-flashed just to get away, but he gets hit by the miasma and gets knocked down.
And I love what Faker's doing. It's not very often in pro play. I mean, I've complained about it all throughout Worlds. I've complained about it even a few times here in KeSPA Cup. Players don't manipulate their lane state to be favorable to the jungler, but he's doing it right now. We'll talk about that after this replay here as Kana outplays the dive attempt that was orchestrated by Rascal and Klid. Some wave manipulation errors there, but like we saw Faker, he had a freeze in front of his turret. It was the only timing that BDD could end up dying. He walked up, and then Cuz had used no CC as CC. The threat of the cocoon making BDD make inefficient clicks and pathing ended up bringing him down.
Yeah, and the timing was perfect too. I mean, you were kind of calling it as it happened as well. He's going to go up. He has to E the wave with the freeze coming in. It was the whole setup that made the kill actually happen in the end. So T1, they get the outplay in the top side. They're going to miss this cocoon as Cuz not going to be 100% on that one. Good read, it seems, from Rascal. As, okay, setting up a tunnel and a TP, Gen.G trying to get really aggressive here as Rascal is level 6, looking for that equalizer. There it is going to go after the slow comes in. They're going to try to 4v2 underneath this one, and the damage will come in, but here comes the TP from Faker, trying to trade one back, but now he's all alone. Will pick up the 1 kill and only get knocked up, so ends up being a 2-for-1 as Faker will pick up a kill on the backside.
Yeah, and you can see that during this, Cuz isn't really achieving all that much. He's level 4. Obviously a little bit late to the party right there. Now, Rascal, he was down there, but it comes at a cost. You can see Kana now level 7, Rascal still level 6. There's a CS discrepancy between them as well, and this entire wave just went into nothingness. We'll take a look at the replay. So, they teleported down Rascal. It was a good equalizer. Effort and Teddy trying to do their best. Faker eventually teleporting in as mid was completely even. And he ended up picking up a kill there onto Rascal right at the very end. None of the other players committing, and Faker obviously had Flash still available. So as it stands right now, T1 are ahead.
Yeah, you always have to ask
gold.
If it's worth it, you know. It's a TP for a TP and a 2-for-1, but all the other stuff that you gain from the other lanes, the Aatrox pushing out the top side, what the Rumble loses, and now you've got a 2-0 Faker Cassiopeia, who is looking to roam down to the bottom side. Looks like they are going to respect that as it's only Rascal here. Klid moving up to the top side. It looks like they're actually just going to kind of throw away the bottom side. Well, Gen.G, but now BDD in a bunch of trouble is going to flash away. Faker missing that second Q. May have continued had he hit it, but instead BDD will just get away with the flash.
It's a really nice equalizer right there by Rascal, meanwhile, down in bot lane. And right now also, T1, they're picking up the Mountain Dragon. Now, unfortunately for them, not a lot of their champions build resistances. And the other unfortunate thing for them is that Mountain Dragon pretty much sucks, unless you build resistances. It's a pretty bad dragon. I think the best dragon early game right now, it's really hard to say. I think
probably
depending
Ocean,
on
right?
No, they changed Ocean to missing, or it's even lower missing. So if you're only missing 100 HP, you're not really getting anything.
Yeah.
It's really bad, especially the way that most lane phases and things just tend to conduct themselves.
It makes it so
in some
every
cases it's
Drake
Cloud.
is like a scaling Drake, right?
It's really weird, Valdez. Let's just not even talk about it.
Okay.
I haven't ate today yet, but I'm getting a little queasy just thinking about it, I'll be honest with you.
Not a big fan of the new Drakes, I see.
I think they're all... I think the intention was really good. I think what ended up happening in the end now, though, is that... Let's say that you're T1 right here, and you just got Mountain Dragon. Cloud Dragon for the enemy team, how much does it really do? Not that much. You could forego capturing it and then guarantee that you get 3, 4, and 5, and then the Dragon Soul of 5. So
yeah,
you amplify everything as much as you possibly can, and that could end up being good. But if you're T1 and you pick up Cloud Dragon next, well, how much does that really do for your team composition? Not much. And then you're only going to get 2 dragons
Drakes,
towards your
yeah.
soul, and that's probably not as ideal. Now, if you're Gen.G, you could also give up the Cloud Dragon and then go 1, 2, 3, 4 into Dragon Soul. So you get a 4x Dragon Soul. Now, these are decisions that pro teams obviously have to make, but when the dragons as a standalone are so weak, it's things that you definitely have to consider. Now, you're T1, you're trying to outscale your opponents this game, and you know that you win out 2.5 items forward. Yeah, sure, just give up second dragon, and then actively look to pursue 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah. I mean, the one Cloud Drake isn't going to do much, as you mentioned. And the individual Drakes are not great compared to the Dragon Soul, which can be quite game-changing. We've seen teams already in the KeSPA Cup give up Drakes seemingly for... Even when they're ahead, they're like, yeah, sure, take it, whatever. We really don't care. Unless they're trying to rush out a Dragon Soul, in which case, you know, maybe they have a comp that wants to get ahead
T1
early.
is freezing.
No!
Well, Faker's about to go back up there. I actually think that's what's happening right now. You can see the pings are going down onto it. That's a perma-freeze if Faker gets back there in time.
Oh, it's going to freeze here, yeah?
No. No!
I was just waiting for him to throw down the poison.
There is nothing to do on the map right now. There were pings from Gen.G. They were so mad at the lane state. They were pinging it on the minimap. And he walked up there and he just unlocked it. And for what, Valdez? Tell me.
What's the thing you told me about before? E2?
Where does he need to be right now? Where does he need to be right now? Because that was a Keck WQ if I ever saw one. He doesn't need to be anywhere.
Yeah. Hey, man, he wanted to push the lane.
Oh, it's for the river control.
There are plates still up.
Oh, that's important.
He's trying to get some of that cash money.
Right, that's important. It's more important than denying hundreds and hundreds of gold and XP and permanently locking Gen.G out of a wave.
Well, you know what happens now is that all the players are kind of at a position to defend each other, so they're kind of just going to push each other's lanes.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
There's
so
a
it's
lot less
handshake.
thought put into it. You know, they're just like, okay, yeah, sure, we can just go along with this, you know.
I had such high hopes for a second.
Just how happy you got when you were like, oh my god,
I thought this was
actually happening?
I thought we were about to witness
the prelude
evolution.
to 2020? Is it finally happening? No, it's not. It's not happening.
Not yet.
Sorry,
maybe,
LS.
Maybe a couple more months and pro teams will.
Oh, well, I wouldn't get your hopes up. It's been many, many years of the same. So,
all right, hold on, we could... No. Now, the thing here, though, is that, there's a Clown Dragon coming up in 40 seconds, and neither team really cares about it. And, I mean, this is another argument against what I was just suggesting, where Casio could still be freezing.
She could still be there.
And there is no chance Gen.G can just go over and unlock it. None of the champions had items. You can't just arbitrarily dive the tier 1 turrets.
You can't 5v4 against what they have.
Right.
Because Xayah and Aatrox can wave clear.
So
right? So you can just
even
5v4
with
in any other lane.
Equalizer and with Nautilus or something, you can't really do it. You don't have enough firepower
Faker
at
has
this stage.
TP.
Faker even has teleport, but
so if they dove, he could be there.
Right, there's so many factors that go into it. I think a lot of people, they just see a numbers advantage, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's more so about the limits of what champions can do, what their items are. Well, here's a fight.
We like action as Effort's gonna die immediately, and not much else is gonna happen actually. T1 on the big time retreat as Effort goes on a one-way trip to the death zone, and nobody else on his team bothered to join him as Kana had to flash the wall to just try to get into the fight, and nobody else was quite able to get in there.
And here's the question that I have for you right now. We look at the map state, right? We look at the two side lanes. We look at the fact that it's a cloud dragon, and you ask yourself, what are they really fighting over? And it's a couple hundred gold. And when you have a team composition that outscales the opponent, why are you looking to be the ones pursuing fights? And so Gen.G, they get rewarded. Because if you're Gen.G right now and you're in this game, and you view the game through what their mini-map vision is and what their champion vision radius is, you ask, well, what do these champions really desire right now? It's a team fight.
I mean, you said it before the game started. You can just look at the team compositions. You know, it doesn't really have much to do even with the game state. It's just the way that the champions work together. And T1 basically bought into it, as now they're looking to take another big fight as the Equalizer's gonna hit 4 in the backside. Rumble doing insane damage. Cuz trying to be on the front line here. Faker's the big boss on SKT, still chipping away at Gen.G and pushing them back. He's gonna flash forward, but now he's gonna get CC'd. Can they take him down? Yes, they can. That is a big takedown, but the rest of T1 rather is gonna get in there, and now it's 4-on-2. They are on the chase, and they have finally made a fight work for them.
Faker managed to make what was a losing situation end up becoming winnable. T1 now, they're gonna pick up Shirley. Now, the mid-tier 1 turret is still really healthy for Gen.G, so this can definitely end up being a valuable dragon. Now, remember, I said in draft phase that there's a couple of dragons that are doomsday for Gen.G. Ocean Soul is definitely one of them with how their champions fight. We take a look at the replay, and at first it looks like T1 are making a pretty poor decision. They're fighting Gen.G when their champions are at a peak, but then Faker arrives, has a really good angle as Gen.G end up being on the retreat. They end up bringing down Faker, but at the cost of losing everything, so not quite the Thanos that you wanted.
Yeah.
As now we come back into live. If T1 can get 3 Ocean Dragons into the Ocean Soul, that's a win con as well now. They don't even necessarily need to just look at Baron. And if you're a Gen.G fan, you keep looking at this game and wondering, well, what am I really hoping to accomplish right here? You have a Rek'Sai building Black Cleaver as her second item, and it's only Ruler and Clid that are the sources of physical damage, so not really giving insane amplification. And now also, because of the preseason jungle changes, look as the junglers fall further and further behind the solo laners in terms of levels.
Yeah, especially cuz. Funnily enough, the solo laners on Gen.G are actually not that far ahead, but they're so far behind the solo laners of T1 as BDD is down 2 levels on Faker, and Rascal is down 1 on Kana in the top side. And there's even a bit of a CS difference as well, especially for the mid lane, as Effort engaging once again. Got to be careful about that, as Teddy is going to be locked down and denied. And yeah, I think it doesn't really bode well for Gen.G if they have this comp that wants to fight at this time, but they're already losing fights to SKT. And I'm not even sure that it has to do with like item timings or compositions. I think it was just T1 played the fight out a bit better than Gen.G did. Right now, in this game, minute and 30 until Ocean Dragon's gonna end up coming up. Rumble has Leandri's right now. Protobelt completed for the Nautilus as his only item so far. Lethality items beginning to get picked up by Ruler. On the side of T1, though,
all their items that they start picking up for their champions are better and better. Rek'Sai, once she has the Black Cleaver, what realistically is going to be next that changes how Clid conducts himself in a team fight? Not really anything. Nautilus, from this point forward, basically always going to be the same champion inside of a team fight. So really, Rumble has about one more peak to really get, and then from there, there's going to end up being roughly the same champion. But Cassiopeia, she doesn't slow down. She's one of the champions in the game that can go all the way to 6 items. And against the Gen.G comp, every single item does change how Faker can conduct himself in a team fight. Teddy, likewise, on the Xayah, going to be able to keep getting more damage, more utility, which is what Gen.G doesn't like. And now here's Ocean Dragon, Infinity Edge completed for Xayah. Really nice timing. Faker and friends have control over the right-hand side river.
T1 should know that they're hiding in that brush or nearby the Drake. Everybody knows how important it is to get this Dragon Soul as soon as possible, but Gen.G grouping up here. Looks like they want to take a fight as this one does come in, but look at Kana. He's got TP. He's looking for a TP fight, but Effort's going to get extremely low. Has that stopwatch to stay alive. Here comes Kana from behind, looking for the big flank. There's one, there's two, and then he goes golden, actually. Not sure about that, as maybe panicked a little bit, but T1 still in the lead here. But look at it, kite them down. It's Gen.G. Over the wall goes Clid. He's going to get the one. Should get Kana as well. He's leading the charge. Gets another knockup, but it's not enough as Ruler and Rascal were zoned out a bit afterwards. Ruler taking a bunch of damage on the backside. Ends up being a 3-for-3 somehow at the end of it all.
Yeah, so, I mean, T1, though, they're going to benefit from this. Trades always favor the scaling team. Now, they're going to win the Ocean Dragon. And you can also see in that fight, Faker is basically immortal. There's no champion that can just get on him at once. And to get all of your champions on him and to bring down the Cassiopeia through the Rod of Ages, through the Seraph's Embrace, is so hard, especially with the Cassiopeia healing. And the Miasma makes things such a nightmare for your team composition. So it's only going to get worse from here, Valdez, and we're getting brief glimpses at how hard the team fights are going to be, even when Effort loses everything at the start.
So 2v2 happening here in the mid lane. Not sure exactly why. Ruler maybe just trying to test his might as he's just running straight at him. Let's take another look at how this team fight happened, though.
Effort starts the fight with 300 HP and things just starting awful, but you can see Gen.G, they don't have the best angles of approach into this T1 team comp. So Kana gets into the backline, he goes golden, Tom goes golden as well, but the fight just starts getting pretty chaotic. Equalizer almost actually finished off at the very back end. Clid eventually goes on to Kana, but there's no answer to Teddy and Faker inside of this fight.
Yeah. You just watch the Cassiopeia the entire time. She's basically full health. She was the perfect 5th pick, as you were talking about, as she's so good at disengaging, and she's going to scale like a mad woman, I suppose, a mad snake, as the game comes along.
So right now at this stage of the game, you see Nautilus, he has Proto Belt, he's going Zanya's Hourglass next, but he's almost the same thing as a support Nautilus. That's a big mouth. It's a whole lot of
Sir
catfish.
Thomas, yeah.
No, it's Tim now. He's had to remove his...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why? What happened?
He just doesn't belong anymore.
Oh, okay. So he's not a Sir.
He's not a Sir anymore.
Wow. He got D-knighted?
He got D-knighted,
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a thing, but we had to make it a thing. So,
yeah,
it's just how it is. Now you can see he's working as a chef right now for Gen.G.
He's kind of lame now, eh?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's just how it is.
It's not the same anymore.
But Nautilus, imagine it's support Nautilus with the support item changes, allowing you to get to another item in addition to the support item faster because of the changes in preseason. It would basically be the same thing. What is the difference between a level 12 Nautilus and a level 10 right now? Not really that much. So this is one of my gripes with Nautilus in mid lane when the enemy team just outscales you and you don't have a lot of ways to set anything up. T1, again, look at all their items. They continue to get meaningful pickups. Rumble, he does have the Rylite and Leandries. It does, in fact, deal amplified damage to slowed targets. Nemesis didn't quite know that last week. Had to... I mean, Fnatic mid laners, you know.
I wonder how many pro players don't know things about the game.
Apparently a lot about Morelos.
There are a lot of things in League of Legends that just kind of go unnoticed. You know what I mean? Like small effects built into the item or the champion that
Yes.
you're just like, oh, it's an ability that slows and it does damage over time or something. But you don't know that it also gives 5%, you know, or 20% reduce armor and magic resist, right? There's this like extra little effect that a lot of people just don't realize.
I think there's also a lot of people that don't know about Athene's Unholy Grail. Gives AP based on mana regen, for instance.
Yep.
So there's definitely some very subtle things on items that not a lot of people know about, but obviously it's really important. So
especially Leandry's. with the
Leandry's,
slow. Like,
yeah, Leandry's one of the best items in the game, but
hey, your boy Rascal has picked it up.
he does have it.
Yeah, he's got the combo.
No, he's not a sinner with Morello.
Yeah, no. No, actually, no sinners in this game.
No sinners in this game.
Nobody
All
has gone
honest,
for Morello.
Yeah, all honest gentlemen.
I feel like against Aatrox Cassiopeia, it's not that bad, though.
There's not enough... I suppose Rumble could get it because he's going to be the only one that can actually reach Cassio and apply the Morello debuff, but even then...
Still not worth it.
I think it's very thin. This game, you could maybe entertain it, but I think the two that he has right now, I think getting Rabadon's Death Cap next would probably just be ideal because you need to just break SK. You need to break T1. It's really hard.
I know.
Valdez, it's really hard. You need to just break T1 in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
You don't have time to take a sustained fight because that's what they want.
Yeah. And it's not like they have something like a Vladimir that is, you know, you need to reduce his healing at all costs. It's just residual, you know, small amounts here and there on the side of the Aatrox and
Xayah did
Cassiopeia.
pick up a Bloodthirster, though.
Yeah.
So
That would...
if there would be a time to get Morellonomicon on a Rumble, this would be it. But it's certainly by no means an item that you just rush.
Yeah, you don't also
Because
have to get it in this case.
hypothetically, had he rushed it, and Xayah just elects not to build Bloodthirster, or something like that, then you don't get as much return. Now, also another interesting point is that I guess there's even more incentive to actually get it right now, because T1 is staring down Ocean Soul. So reducing the healing on that in addition to the healing they have on everything else, I think there's even an argument to sell that Needlessly Large Rod and try to get that Morellonomicon.
Finally, a game where it makes sense.
All right, that's my PayPal I just wrote down right there. So
Twitch Prime, by the way.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the one out of 100 games where it actually does kind of make sense this time around. So I'm glad we actually...
I wouldn't go that far. 1 out of 100.
It's an acceptable item choice.
1 out of 200. Maybe.
Okay, okay, I see what you mean.
All right, here we go.
Engage right onto Teddy, but he's easily able to get out of that one as effort is going to be burst down. Kana, though, into the back line, trying to chase him down, but having trouble doing so. They turn onto the Nautilus, but he's going to take a bunch of damage. Kana goes down, and Gen.G are winning this fight. Everybody going to dodge that Faker ultimate, but he is just unkillable in the back line. Ruler going to have to be devoured up here, has incredible life gain himself, and is trying to lock down Faker, nearly able to do so, as Rascal going to be flashed upon, nearly going to get the kill, but Cuz just going to stopwatch at the last moment and get away. And the one thing from that fight we're beginning to learn is that Ruler actually does a bit of damage in these fights, especially if they can get broken up.
Yeah, and I mean, it's another extremely bloody team fight by both parties. Teddy!
Oh boy, Teddy is just going man mode so far. Flashes over the wall, not quite able to make it happen, but he pushes Ruler back, who is trying to desperately get that life gain right now off the blue, but there's just too many members right now from T1 onto that Baron, and they will take it down in 28 minutes.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, this Baron is going to convert into Ocean Soul capture. This game is all but over, Valdez. At this point, with Baron, with the team composition advantage, with item advantage, with level advantage, everything is in T1's favor right now. I honestly can't see a way for Gen.G to come back. You look at all their items, what are they trying to complete towards right now? Nautilus, he has a Negatron cloak, congratulations.
They were just engaging, by the way, before this replay.
Yeah, live right now, we
look
can actually...
Look at Faker, he's all alone.
Yeah.
And
oh, he's gone.
You talked about one way to get back in the game. This is to do it. Mistakes that happen as 2 pickoffs are going to come in here. Thankfully for T1, Ocean isn't for 2 minutes. Otherwise, Gen.G could rotate down, but still, this is going to help them get some objectives here. We'll see if it can be enough to come back in this one. As still T1 in a commanding lead, but the push is coming straight down mid.
So this is actually going to nullify Baron entirely. You see the death timer still on Kana and Faker. And by the time they end up respawning, there's only about 1.5 minutes left in Baron. The time that it takes the minions and these champions to go from base, Baron buff the minions, and then push into the opponents, the Baron buff's just going to end up expiring. So T1 just lost Baron for virtually no reason. Now, they're still ahead in the game. They're still going to be able to fight over Ocean Soul, but obviously that is it's a very, very, very big blunder. So you look at the minimap right here, and you have to ask yourself, well, why is Faker here right now? And he can't really do anything. And then Kana, I mean, he wanted to be with his friends, so he felt compelled.
I'm coming, Faker Young. I'm coming to save you.
By a cosmic force right there to try to engage onto Clid. He ended up dying shortly thereafter. Nonetheless, they have 2 Baron waves that they can push with, so nothing meaningful is really going to be achieved unless Gen.G just equally feel compelled by a cosmic force to try to take a straight-up team fight. But T1 just get the Ocean Soul and the game ends.
Yeah, we've had 2 fights in a row that honestly were not clean for T1. They are ahead, and I feel like they should group up and act as if they're ahead. Take a safe Ocean Soul and try to then scale up and win the game. But if you keep getting picked off and having these fights that are just really messy, to say the least, then you're not going to have a fun time. TP coming in now.
It's over. Oh.
They don't get there on time.
Oh, it's over, though. They end up getting the Ocean Dragon. Look at the base levels, by the way, on the side of T1. It is 3 levels in mid lane, 2 levels in 80 carry. That is so big, it's not even funny, because you think about the base stats on each of these champions, not just the skill points. It's hundreds of HP. Yeah. It's resistances. It's so many things that normally people don't really consider when approaching a fight. But this is so easy now. It's smooth scaling for T1 in this game.
That. It's not smooth sailing, it's smooth scaling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
that's really nice. And yeah, we've seen this multiple times, and this is a perfect example of it. You know, the team that had the comp, that had the responsibility to do something early, was not able to do so. They tried, but they couldn't get enough of a lead, and in fact got behind because T1 was able to handshake and just slow down the game and essentially not make enough mistakes to throw it early. And they have got themselves now in a position where they have Xayah with 4 items, 4.5 items, and a massive bounty on her head. They have Cassiopeia, which is the obvious one, and smooth scaling is the name of the game.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? There's no Morello, and it doesn't even look like Rascal is actually building towards it. There's an Executioners on Ruler.
Finally.
But that's all that they have for it. All right, Nautilus, he picked up a stone plate. Congratulations. As T1, I mean, they're just going to laugh at it if he's on top of them trying to apply CC, because the Ocean Soul is going to be way too strong. Aatrox, probably very close to a Guardian Angel. I would... well, he thinks that he's getting collapsed on. So he ended up teleporting.
They didn't have vision.
Yeah.
That's another win that is going to go the way of T1 just by them maneuvering around the map.
Now, I really do like what T1 is doing. They're not recklessly trying to shove up and dive a tier 2 turret and then get defensive equalizer. underneath the turret. They're waiting until the Baron is going to be up. They're manipulating the side lanes to be favorable for them. And then they're just going to capture the Baron, and then with the Baron, they should be able to end the game. And if they can't, they'll get Elder Dragon. And honestly, Elder Dragon is a bit like Exodia. Right now, it's...
Oh, dude, it's so incredibly strong.
Takes some effort to lose the game once you have it.
Yeah. We saw a couple of games early on in the KeSPA Cup where a team picked it up, and it was kind of a first look in pro play, and we're like, oh, wow.
It's,
okay.
It's quite a... yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those drinks. And now T1, they're looking for an engage. They're going to try to find Ruler. They find the support. Big equalizer, as a bunch of damage will come down, and now they disengage. Slows coming in. There's the Cocoon. They finally find one. McClid able to get underground and get to safety to his bunker, essentially. And nobody is going to get caught. Not sure exactly why T1 trying to force a fight right here as the Baron is coming up. They're going to go for the Baron now as Teddy trying to chip away at BDD, and he is going to survive. That Nautilus not doing too much now at 35 minutes. Rascal now looking to come across the top side. Massive missile as Teddy does take a bunch of damage, but is still going to survive. As even Ruler takes a couple pot shots, but it isn't enough to take down effort as TP comes in. But Rascal, he's too low. The flash is gonna miss. And in goes Faker over the wall with the TP. He's looking for Ruler. Not able to get on top of him, but it does not matter. The destruction is too large now for the side of T1. They take down the Baron, and they are going to wipe Gen.G off the map. It's only Ruler that's left available, and Faker doesn't look like he wants to go down without a fight. He's getting in there as he's going to eventually take him down, finding that last member, and the push will come in to end the game.
And that's going to be it for game number 1. I mean, try as you might, doesn't really matter. That's going to be it. The Nexus is going to explode T1 off to a very good start here in game number 1. They won the draft very heavily.
Oh, yeah.
And then in the game, the responsibility, the ask on the side of Gen.G